Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. Today's got some big news. As you can see by the headline, Congress last week passed the Protection of Marriage Act. And I thought it was a really big thing. I was waiting for the president to sign it before I really discussed it too much. But it replaces the 1996 bill, the Defense of Marriage Act, that decided that marriage was between just a man and a woman and no one else. This new bill basically voids that, and we move on to, you know, just let whoever, wants to be married. If two consenting adults want to be married, then they love who they love. That's that, right? And we'll get into a few other details here in a little bit about what's such a big deal about this, right? But I want to go down to something he said here. Marriage is a simple proposition. Who do you love? And will you be loyal to that person you love? The president asked from the South Lawn. It's not more complicated than that. And I believe that's the case. I believe that is how marriage should be. If two people love each other, they're consenting adults, then by all means, they should be able to get married. I don't care what gender they are. I don't care what sex they are. I don't care how they identify. People should be able to marry other people, in a consenting relationship. This also protects interracial marriages, and we'll get into discussing the reason for that as well. But in '96, the Defense of Marriage Act was passed, signed by then Bill Clinton, and supported by one Joe Biden. Now, this was a bill that I didn't understand when I was in high school. I thought it was stupid to begin with. I didn't think it was something that needed to be done, even though I saw myself as a conservative back at that point in time. I was very politically aware, but at the time, between self-loathing and thinking it was the right way to go, I was a conservative. And I didn't even support this, right? I didn't even support the idea that marriage had to be between a man and a woman. I couldn't understand why two men or two women couldn't get married to begin with. Not like it's the government's place to tell anybody what they can and can't do, really, when it comes to things that don't harm anybody else. And two gay people getting married has no bearing on your life or my life or anyone else's life. And now, as someone that has come out and has been a liberal for a long time, I find this to be honestly, find it to be awesome that we're finally getting to that point. That at least even Republicans, right? Even I think we had 12 Republicans help overcome the filibuster that would have happened in the Senate to get this bill passed. And I think that shows growth, right? But let's talk about why this bill is even necessary. Now, we all know back in 2015, the Obergefell decision um, set precedent that gay marriage was legal throughout the country. That was the precedent that court ruled on. The Supreme Court ruled on at that particular day and time. The problem is, since then, and even I believe in his dissent of the marriage equality ruling, Clarence Thomas had made it clear and has since made it clear that he wants to relook at the Obergefell decision, believing that Obergefell was decided in the wrong way, based on erroneous information, because it's saying something he doesn't believe in, right? And Justice Clarence Thomas is probably one of the worst people on the court. You know, he, he's um, he's assaulted. He assaulted a woman. We know at least of one, and he considered in the ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade, he just said that things like Obergefell and even interracial marriage need to be relooked at, and that is why this bill has come up, and it's also why the bill was passed and why it included a clause for interracial marriage. At the end of the day, This is probably one of the best things for the LGBTQ community to happen in a long time. I really wish it went further. I wish it was federal legalization of same-sex marriages where all states had to comply. But unfortunately, we're not going to get the votes for that. The only votes we had were for states to have to recognize other states' marriages. And the problem that this is going to create for a lot of people within the community is the fact that now, say they're in Texas, right? They're in Texas. Now they're going to have to maybe go get remarried in another state, which means traveling long distances, especially if you're in the middle of Texas. Because it doesn't necessarily say that the states have to recognize their previously approved marriages. Now, I'm hoping that not a lot of states will do this whole BS where they're going to try to delegitimize the marriages for gay and lesbian and other people of the LGBTQ community and their marriages, right? Hopefully, that's not going to happen. Hopefully, that most states will just let it happen, right? That they'll just be okay with it, regardless of what happens with Oberfell. But the thing is, what's big about this is in '96, like I said, Joe Biden supported this bill as I believe a senator and helped get it passed, right? Luckily, though, over the years he has changed. I don't know if it's his personal views have changed. I don't know if it's just his political views. I don't really care. But he has grown on the issue to the point that even though he has his religion and believes what he believes the rest of us should be free to love who we want to freaking love. And I think that is awesome. Now, others out there, of course, as I wish I had the video of, there's a woman who cried on the House floor while they were voting for this bill that it was going to be an attack on religious institutions. No, it's not. The bill even goes further to protect religious institutions, saying that they do not have to perform a ceremony for a gay or lesbian or whatever couple. So all this bill does is say that the states have to recognize the legal union from other states. It's not even saying that the states, from what I've read, have to follow any kind of federal guideline if Oberfell falls. And I think it's awesome. I do believe it needs to go further. I do think it should go further, but it's not going to because there are people in this country that don't care about your rights or anyone else's. They only care about what they believe in. If they don't believe it, then you don't matter. And luckily, we were able to find 12, 12 in the Senate who are willing to get it done. The Democrats can only do so much. You have to have 60 votes. Unfortunately, in the Senate, for whatever reason, people just keep sending the same people back, and it's always 50-50, right? And finally, at least, Democrats do now have a 51-49 lead technically, because you've got 3 independents now that are supposedly going to caucus with the Democrats, including Bernie Sanders, who has always caucused with the Democrats. He supported the bill. Pretty much every Democrat supported the bill. And then you have these 12 Republicans that signed on to help get it over the threshold. So to those 12 Republicans, thank you. And for the community out there, I hope this is helpful going down the road. I hope you're able to not have to deal with too much. I hope whatever state you're in, if Oberfell falls, doesn't decide that your marriage doesn't, that they're not going to respect it anymore. Now, if for some reason I've misread something somewhere where it states that the states that have already given marriage licenses out for same-sex marriage. Um, if it says that they must still follow it, please let me know. Please link me the information, and I'll make another video. But as it is, this is what we have going on, right? There's a lot of stuff been going on in the world, but I'm going to read you another thing here from Biden's signing of it earlier this afternoon. Um, for most of our nation's history, we denied interracial couples and same-sex couples from these protections. It failed to treat them as equal dignity and respect. And now this law requires that interracial marriage and same-sex marriage must be recognized as legal in every state in the union. And if you ask me, that is really, really important because we've gone through a lot in this country. And the LGBTQ community has been through a lot in this country. And it's gotten worse, right? And I think finally, at least we're finally doing something, if you know what I mean. We're finally at least getting some kind of movement here. As it goes on to say here, such a bill had seemed improbable for many in Washington not that long ago, even though public opinion on same-sex marriage has continued to shift over the years. 68% of Americans support same-sex unions in 2021. That was up 14% from just 7 years before that. So things are changing, and unfortunately, that means that some people, not all people, but unfortunately, it means some people are going to start taking issue, and that's sad. It's the reason why things like the Colorado shooting took place, why other shootings and attacks on gay people have taken place in this country. It's because people that don't want to let go of what they believe, and they fear that when somebody else gains rights, that they're losing rights. And that's not how it works. It's not pie. Okay, gay people being able to get married has no bearing on your life if you're a cis straight person, right? If you're a heterosexual person, two gay people getting married has no bearing on your life. It's not like somebody's going to force you to get same sex married, okay? Nobody's going to force that on you. The LGBTQ community is not here to force that on you. We're just asking for the same rights that you have. And that's it. Thank you for watching. This has been The Big Rant Show. I've been your host, Julie. I'll see you down the road.